All right, folks. I just had to come on here. I have to make this video. I'm actually very angry right now. Really angry. I usually try to be calm with having discussions about serious issues like this, but it's really just getting crazy now. And people need to be put in their place because they're just ignorant, hateful, and it's just amazing me. So I might be a little belligerent here, and I might be messing up here, but I just gotta speak my piece here. This is ridiculous. So there's this guy on YouTube called the Modern Renaissance Man. He's a younger guy, and apparently he thinks highly of himself and gives people. He's a public speaker and musician or whatever thing. Gives people advice. Well, let me tell you something. He shouldn't give anyone advice because he doesn't know anything, okay? So he was talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and the sheer ignorance coming out of his mouth, especially as a black man, not understanding this situation at all, not knowing any of his history at all. It's frightening. And he's speaking to people and giving them advice on this. It's frightening. So one of the things he doesn't even understand that Black Lives Matter, what they're trying to do. So he's conflating the looters with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not telling people to go out and cause destruction and loot. They're not, okay? There have been massive protests in the United States, all over, constantly, all over the world actually. The majority have been very peaceful. In fact, they trained people to try to be peaceful. They tried to get them ready for confrontation so they stay peaceful. You're always gonna have some people that do things wrong. Who are the looters? Could some of the looters be involved with Black Lives Matter somehow? Absolutely. It's a tiny minority. Who are the other looters? White people. Criminals that take advantage of situations like this when protests happen. They want to take advantage of stealing, okay? Just criminals. Kids out for kicks, making errors. Young kids do stupid things sometimes. We've got white supremacists involved in this, trying to discredit the Black Lives Matter movement. We've got, most likely, because in every protest, they're there, okay? Agent provocateurs, plainclothes police, or people hired by police to commit crimes to make these groups look bad. But what is Black Lives Matter actually fighting for? Equality, respect, okay, fairness for black people, minorities, and the LGBT community. Okay, so let's just stop this nonsense and stop attacking what these people are talking about. There are real issues that need to be addressed. There is data. You can look it up. Tons of data on institutional racism. Tons of it. Peer-reviewed scholarly works. Hordes of it for decades. We know it exists. Only people who are ignorant don't know it exists. It's there. Okay? Now I made some notes here because I'm so irate right now. I'm gonna leave stuff out of here. So I'm trying to think of some of the things he said. So listen, he obviously never heard of gentrification. There are black people who have been pushed out of neighborhoods. He blames that on them. Okay? Gentrification, when you move into a neighborhood and wealthier people start to move in, start to change the neighborhood, it pushes out the original culture that was there. That's why it's wrong. It doesn't lift it up, it pushes it away. It just pushes it to another area, another poor area. Okay, so he doesn't even know this, and he's giving people advice. Amazing. What else here? I mean, the stuff that he said is just, I couldn't even believe it. Oh, because some of the Black Lives Matter protesters apparently said, white people should give us their houses. Okay, they obviously don't believe that the white people are going to give them their houses. Let's use our brains here, okay? And is this I don't think BLM is asking for this. What the point is, people say things in protests, okay? And it's a lot of times to get a rise out of people or to make a point, okay? So this guy actually says, whoa, what do white people have to worry about this now since they weren't involved, they weren't involved in slavery hundreds of years ago. Can you believe, okay. Let's talk about what happened after slavery. First of all, let's start with slavery, because that did end. in the form that it was in hundreds of years ago, okay? But it went on for hundreds of years also. And black people built white wealth and powerful institutions that they were excluded from, that they weren't allowed in after they built them for free via oppression and all kinds of suffering and murder. What was that followed by when they were actually freed? Jim Crow laws that went all the way until 1965. Laws, segregation, redlining, no access to loans for homes or access for loans for businesses, living in food deserts, less health care. They're actually treated differently in healthcare situations. This is proven. There's scholarly work on this too. What else happened? Well, we have the KKK. I don't know. That was way after slavery, wasn't it? And hangings and church bombings all the way until the 1970s. Oh, how about the 70,000 black women who were sterilized unknowingly into the 1970s? What about that? What about the people in my lifetime that saw hangings, that saw the dead, the little babies' heads in church bombings? What about that? What about they saw segregation and they were put in certain neighborhoods and it was so hard to get out, okay? And then targeted by police. That's what institutional racism is one aspect of it, is that you corner off people in a certain neighborhood, then you target them with police. White people smoke weed too, only they're not gonna get pulled over in North Haven or something in their little suburb, walking around with a bag of weed. Highly unlikely. You do it, you're gonna get it in the city. You're gonna get caught, okay? So they face a slew of harassment, and the police violence against them has been going on for hundreds of years. In the South, the original police were to capture slaves. That's where the policing institution was derived from. And it's carried on that violent aspect and mistreatment ever since. I know, man. I remember when I was a young kid, I heard of police officers and what they were doing. Let me tell you something. Beating black people was a sport for them, okay? And it's still going on now. And it's not just a few bad apples. For quite a number of them, it's a sport. They don't mind doing it. They're having a good frickin' time, okay? So this stuff is still going on. And hordes of, we can go down lists of things. But this young man actually doesn't have any education. And he's doing a disservice to his own people. It's disgusting. I've had it. I've had it with hearing it from white people, and now to see black people doing it to hurt their own people and not even knowing. Because maybe he's been, and I'm not saying he didn't work for anything he got, and are there people who abuse the system? There's people in every race that abuse the system. That has nothing to do with anything. This has to do with inequality. There is white privilege. I know there is. I do not go through the things, I never had to go through the things that a black man had to go through. You just don't, okay? I face one thing, I face classism, which anyone who's not in the 1% is gonna face classism. We all face that. And then after that, there's sexism, there's racism, there's all kinds of issues that need to be addressed. And people who speak out should not be attacked for addressing them. You should be disgusted that you're not wanting it to change. It needs to change. So I just want to look this over real quick and just see if I missed anything. Let's take an example in the 1920s of a wealthy black neighborhood like the one in Tulsa, right? Incredibly wealthy, successful black neighborhood. Burned to the ground, bombed. They took small planes and they bombed them. They killed hundreds of people, tore down all the businesses, burnt down basically that whole section of the city. Okay, 1985, a bombing on activists in Philadelphia. The COINTEL program, which obviously this guy doesn't know about. The attack of black movements, infiltrators, murder, using police forces to murder leaders. Murder. Look it up. Look up what happened to the Black Panthers because they wanted equality. And I guess if you're a hayseed, you can carry a gun. But if you're a black man and you want to just ensure that you're safe, I guess you can't, because then you're a militant, right? There's just so many things that happen to black people. I can't even list it all. You know, but we've got to start having this realization. And let me tell you something, this guy, modern Renaissance man, baloney, okay? You don't know what you're talking about. Go do some research, look inside yourself a little. And he's a Christian, that's the other thing. Gotta love it. Lately, I've been seeing Christians, all they do is hate. Which Christ is this? I mean, I'm not a Christian, but I did read the Bible. And they don't act anything like Christians. Nothing like a Christ-like figure at all. Neither does Trump. It's the complete antithesis of Christ. Christ helped the poor. He didn't go, well, some of them might abuse it, so I'm not going to help them. No, he helped the poor. That's what he did. I mean, this guy, it's a farce. You're not a Christian either. You're not a Renaissance man. You don't need to give people advice. You need just to shut the hell up, okay? Go learn something. And I'm sorry, I am so visceral tonight. This has been going on for months. I've been watching this stuff. And people need to start acting and have some empathy. It's time for empathy. It's time for change. It's time to look at your system that is hurting millions of people. Not just black people either. There's a lot of poverty. They gave $6 trillion to Wall Street. $6 trillion. So the Wall Street and corporations could do stock buybacks, falsely inflate the economy, which is dangerous, creating bubbles, to make themselves some profit on the stock market. The stock market does not equate to people who are making terrible wages in their jobs, okay? The jobs stink. That's another thing he said. He was complaining that people, like it's some rash of people that got these checks and wouldn't go back to work. Does it happen? I'm sure it does. But guess what else happens? Lots of people are afraid to go back to work. Some people live with older people in their homes and they don't want to go to work and bring the disease home. Some people don't have jobs to go to because guess what? Hundreds of thousands of businesses are closing down. They're gone. There's no job. And lots of businesses that are, or institutions that are open are cutting back jobs because of the situation. There's not enough money. Okay, so who do they help? They help Wall Street. And he's worried about these people getting a few extra bucks or a few people that abuse it. It's ridiculous. You know what? Maybe some of these people are taking this time to find a better job because they're working a crappy job. Oh, and by the way, before the pandemic, Trump's great economy, huh? What happened right before? There was a report in, I believe it was October or November. Anyway, it was late in 2019. And it clearly showed manufacturing a 10-year low. No, manufacturing didn't go up, it's down. The jobs that are being created are low-wage crap jobs. Gig economy jobs, part-time, no benefits, nothing. Why are the kids living at home with their parents? Because the rents are outrageous and you can't survive. You have to live with 10 people, and you got to find 10 people you like to live with. It's ridiculous. We're saddling them with more debt than ever. College, there were free colleges when I was younger. There isn't free college now. Can some people get some scholarships? Yes, but there's not free college, and when you go to college, you pay extreme amounts of money. The cost of college tuition has skyrocketed. This is all being saddled on these young people's shoulders. It's ridiculous. This is supposed to be the richest country in the world, and it can't take care of its people. It's taking care of its wealthy really well, because over the last 50 years, I'll tell you what goes up. Production, people are working harder, they're working more hours, they're getting less for it, and guess where the profits are skyrocketing. 50 years, skyrocketing profits, flat wages. You're being screwed, people. You need to wake the fuck up. This is serious stuff. We need to change the way this country operates. We need to have empathy, and we need to take care of people, and because people will respond. Give them real opportunity. They will respond. And go tell this modern Renaissance guy he's a jerk. All right, my rant is over. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't think I've never done a video like this. But I've had it. I really have. These people have to start being held accountable. Ignorance has to be held accountable. Don't let people be stupid. It's happening in mainstream media. They let people get off, and not just Trump, lots of people. They spew lies. The journalist doesn't say anything. What does that say to the people? Well, if he's not countering it, it must be true. No, it's not. There's so many lies being told, you can't even keep up. Okay? We need grassroots movements. Me too, we need to become very active. We need to make these changes. And we got to get rid of this ignorance. And Mr. Modern Renaissance Man needs to get himself educated. And he probably needs to read the Bible again, because he's reading that and he doesn't even know that very well, apparently. He doesn't really know about empathy and taking care of the poor, regardless. That's right. You know what? I don't care if some people are ripping off the system. They're poor. The rich rip off the system every day. They've been funneling money to themselves through all kinds of tax breaks, deductions, getting help from the government for their corporations. There's so many ways that they benefit, and you're worried about a poor person getting something extra. Oh my God. But we're so willing to give rich people who have everything already more money and more power so they can legislate against labor, which they do. They take their profits and they legislate against the laws that protect you at your job. Isn't that wonderful? And you love them. They're so wonderful. Get smart, folks. Yeah, take care.